once you just say, go in and open-minded, take a deep breath and be open. I think when the biggest growth I had is when I was open to receiving.
Yes.
Right? Be open to what comes into your space and into your life. And that's when I started to really enjoy things from a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy things it wasn't always about hitting the next mark or hitting this. It was, sometimes it's okay to just be.
Welcome back to the Mapuana Reed Show. Today we have my friend with me, Kinsey Kendrick. She is the founder of Liquid Caterers.
Yay.
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
So, okay, take me on your journey. So there's a thing that I call her job, her journey on becoming. So take me to who you were, to who you are today, and how you created Liquid Caterers and all in between.
Awesome. Born in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So
Okay.
East Coast Canada, lived in Toronto for many years. And then my family moved to Maine. And then I'm the youngest of 3 sisters, and there's 9 years between my oldest sister and I. So when we left Maine, we went back to Canada. It was just me. So I'm kind of like the youngest, but also the only child.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time with my parents and my family. And then we moved to Arizona my sophomore year in high school. So spent my last 3 years of high school in Arizona. And then I got this itch, I'm going to go back to Canada for university. So I left, came back, and that's kind of when my entrepreneurial journey started, is when I moved back to Arizona. I worked with my dad for a while in his consulting company. My first business was a popcorn business.
Wow.
I started a popcorn business selling at farmers markets. And then I went into sales, doing chiropractic business management sales.
Okay.
And it was a commission only. My husband, Neil, was doing commission only work also. He was enrolling students into secondary education. And we got married, had my first son, Colton. And this is kind of where the journey of Liquid Caterers, unbeknownst to me, started.
Okay.
It wasn't planned by any stretch of the imagination. So married, newborn, you think things are going great, you're adjusting. Probably, I think it was about 9-10 months into motherhood. I had a natural childbirth with Colton. It was amazing. It was phenomenal. And it was really important to me to breastfeed and do all of those things. So he didn't latch, so I was pumping. It was like this constant, I felt like 24 hours a day of this. And I didn't realize in this process, I lost myself. And so it wasn't until 10 months in, one morning, woke up and just laying in bed, and Neil kind of rolled over and said, Kinsey, who does depression hurt? And I was like, what? That's weird. I'm like, the commercial.
Yeah.
And I'm like, everybody. And I'm kind of like, where are you going with this? He goes, I think that's you. And I kind of was like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, I've lost my wife. And it kind of took me like back and going, huh. And he explained, he's like, I've lost my best friend. I lost my wife. He's like, you're just going through the motion. Like, and it wasn't until then that I was like, huh, like that light bulb goes on. And I was going through the day, and he said, Kinsey, I could have told you we won the lotto and you had been, like just this evening, could have told you, we lost, our dog died, and you would have been the same. Like there was never any, I was just kind of just doing it.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of taken back at first. And then I realized he's so right. And he said, I think you need to get help. And he goes, he needs help. He's like, I didn't know how to approach this. I didn't know what to say. And so I said, after thinking about it for a while, I said, okay, can you give me some time to work on it and see what I can do on my own? I wasn't opposed to getting help and going anything like that, but I wanted to try. So I started putting me first and going to the gym and doing those things. And it took a couple months, but I started to get my spark back. I started to be like, ooh, this is who Kinsey is, right? Well, then I finally got into a groove, and we were talking and communicating about it. And then it was several months later, and he goes, hey, Kinsey, like, great to have you back. Things are going well. We're driving great energy. He said, by the way, when I lost you, I didn't know what to do. because in commission only sales, I really wasn't doing my job to the best of my capabilities and all of that, and being a new mom. And at this point, this is the recession, right? The recession's hitting at the same time. The economy, he's like, I've had to use our credit cards to pay bills. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. And I was like, oh my goodness. So we're on this verge of just coming out of depression. And hey, by the way, we might lose our house. Like that's,
wow.
Yeah. And there's no, the market was just everything around. And I'm thinking, holy bananas, here I am just getting back into this. And
I'm just getting my groove back here.
And now you're hitting me with this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And everything is just, who knows what's going to happen.
Wow.
So it became out of when you said, where did Liquid Caterers come from? It wasn't like, at the first, it wasn't like, this is a passion that I want to go to. It became a necessity, like sugar smacks, like things are going, we're losing everything.
Like I need to find something that's going to work and save us.
Yes. Yeah. And having a newborn. And so we actually went to happy hour and we were sitting and talking about, okay, what do we enjoy doing? What could we do to bring in extra income? We're smart, we're ambitious, we're driven, like we have the things that we need to, but what is it going to be? So we were just talking and both of us love to entertain. In university, I bartended on the side, have always been in the service-based industry, some form or fashion, right? Out of school, he as well. And at that point in time, there was in the market, there was a need for a mobile bartending kind of event-based company. And so we just sat there and literally wrote on a napkin, couple of bartenders, Liquid Caterers. And it came from every event needs a couple of bartenders, Liquid Caterers. Yeah. And that's kind of where it was like, oh, yeah. And it just kind of like hit both of us. Yeah. And we said, this is going to be it. We had no idea what we were doing, no clue how to start.
Did you guys have any type of bartending experience?
Yes. Okay. So he had, and actually that's how I met him. He was a bartender at a bar when I first met him. And then I did in university as well. So that was kind of a comfort place. Also, we love people. And that's really where kind of the engaging with people and interaction and customers. So we knew that was kind of something a place that we wanted to start. And so we met with kind of a lawyer and a liquor lawyer, because Arizona does have unique liquor law. So making sure that we're doing things correctly. And this was kind of in addition to what we were doing. So we were like, okay, we're going to grow this organically. And it was kind of an email that we sent out to family and friends saying, hey, this is what we want to do. And our first event was actually a referral from my oldest sister. They're like, hey, we're going to have a Christmas party and this is what we're looking for. So we said, okay. And we did it. And we nailed it. And it was like one of those things like, you get this energy and this high and you're like, okay.
And you just feel it like, okay, this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Yes.
Like, this is going well. Yeah. Yes. Okay, good.
So, and it was kind of like that, a slow start in the sense of we didn't do any marketing. We didn't do any advertising. It was, we're going to grow this. Yeah. And we got involved in a couple of, networking things, chamber events to meet people in the community and ask for referrals. And it started to grow. And then we brought on a couple of other bartenders of people that we knew in the industry that had bartended. We call them our OGs, the original team. And it started to grow. And about 2-3 years into it, I was like, we've got something here. Yeah. And what if I just jumped all in? Like, what if I said, hey, I'm going to put my energy and effort into this?
That's the question. What if?
What if? And if you don't, who cares? So what? Yeah. So I decided to, and we did. And we grew it, and we started in our house and in our garage. And eventually we got a small office space. And then a couple years later, Neil came on board full time. And then we started to grow into a bigger office space. And then it became where we aren't just bartenders. We have this thing, like we have ideas. We want to create these amazing experiences, because it's not about the drinks for us. Anybody can make a great drink, and we can teach people. We love doing that too. But it's about the experience and the engagement and making people feel something when you're serving them, right? It's all about their service. Yeah. So we grew. He came on board, and we said, so much more that we could do in this space, not just bartending. And for us too, it was about our customers and the experience that we provide. But really where I found a passion was our team, the people that we brought on board, and allowing them to find their space, what works for them. Yeah. And then our bartenders, when they would come to me and say, Kinsey, I was able to provide Christmas for my kids that I wouldn't have been able to if I didn't have this job. Yeah. Or moms that go, I don't get to go do my hair and nails, so I'm working at an event a week or a couple events a month, and this is my play money, and I feel like I'm contributing, and it's fun, and those types of things. So for me, that was like wow, like we're doing something and we're providing a place where people enjoy coming to work, and they feel it, and we're blessed that we attract those people. We attract amazing team members, and so grateful for that. So we've grown and expanded, and now we're in a 7,500 square foot office space. We have 7 team members internally, 90 bartenders and baristas. So we've brought on tap trucks, we do cocktail classes, so many fun things. So we dropped the name Couple of Bartenders, and we have it gone into Liquid Caterers. So we rebranded about 1.5 years, 2 years ago to Liquid Caterers because we do so much in the beverage space. So that's kind of where the story of where it started, and where we are today.
Wow. Yeah. I love hearing about people's stories about why they started a business, how they started the business. Every company, I totally believe, has a backstory to it.
Yes. Yes. And
sometimes
sometimes they're not the ones you want, right? Like it was dire necessity.
Yeah, exactly.
But because of that, we had to work to make it work. Does that make sense? It was something like, we need this, otherwise
we need to make this work. Yeah. I think a lot of people, they just see the now. You know what I mean? They just see like what Liquid Caterers are doing now, or any other company, like, wow, look at them, they're so big. But when you hear the backstory, it just kind of makes you feel like, wow. Like for me, it makes me feel like whenever I see a woman doing big things, it makes me feel like, wow, then if she could do it, then so can I.
Yes.
Yeah. So if there's a woman out there who's feeling how you felt with a newborn baby, that's not going to be for your forever. Like there will be a time where you too could own a company and you could do great things.
Yes. Yeah. And have fun. I mean, and have fun doing it, right? I think that's kind of, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's so many non-fun elements too, but I think that when you find something that lights you up, that gets you excited, those things, that hustle piece, it's going to be there, and the grind is going to be there. I say I work 8 days a week because it's true. But I find so much joy in moments of it, right? I think you have to find that. Otherwise, what's it for?
Yeah. And we can't go back to like the 9 to 5. It's like, I can't do that. I can't go.
No.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
Some big challenges that you faced?
I think it was, looking back now, I don't think you realize it in the moment.
When you're in it,
because really, we bootstrapped. It was hustling. It was grinding. It was doing things until like you just don't know. You don't know if I'm doing it right. And I think that's kind of like part of the secret is the not knowing, is you just have
trust.
You just have to figure it out. But I feel like when you know that you're doing something that's right, that you find passion for, that you enjoy, doesn't matter those bumps in the road, because they happen. There's tons of them. It's worth the effort, energy. The nights on the ground, sleeping in the office going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Or, the tears that you're like, I have no idea why I'm crying, but it just feels right to cry right now.
Like, I just need to get this all out.
On the other side of it, it's like, man, I got on the other side.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes people in the entrepreneurial space, or people who are just starting out, I always say, when you feel like you're at that breaking point, don't stop.
No.
Don't stop. Because you're just on the verge
close
of where you're finding the answer, or where you get that next best idea, or the next thing, or that you meet the next person that's going to help you expand, or think of things that you wouldn't have thought about. So I just say, don't stop. keep going.
Yeah. Even when it's hard.
Even when it's hard. Because it's hard. Oh my goodness, is it hard? It
Yeah.
is hard.
It is,
And I always say, especially like in the event space, you know, we're crazy people. You've got to be crazy to be in this world.
We bet on ourselves.
Yes,
You know, you got to bet on yourself.
Yeah.
Even when no one else is. Like, you have to be able to believe in yourself when no one else is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that to me is hard.
Yeah. And I think too, something that I didn't realize probably until even just a couple of years ago, is it's lonely. It can be lonely until you figure out it doesn't have to be, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that's in the growth phase and coming up with adding things new and different to our business, because that's something that sets us apart. Is I've the visionary. I always want to know, how can we make things different? How can we bring new experiences? What's the next wow factor? So you're constantly going like this. And if you don't surround yourself with people who are a support system, expanders, it can be very, very lonely. And to me, I think that was an eye-opening, is when I started to get involved in networking and getting involved in mentorship groups and retreats where I put myself with like-minded individuals and specifically women, that I was like, oh, and it made it all the difference in the world. All the difference in the world. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so take me back a little bit to, so when you started in your living room, and then you had it in your kitchen there. So what was your next growth?
Yes.
So from there, what did you do next?
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, you know, I know manifestation and all that is a trendy word or whatever, but every single level up, I envisioned it. Every single level up, I was like, I had a moment in time where I said, this is what I want, right? And for an example, our very first office space, it was like a little small office in the front and just mostly warehouse, right? And at that point in time, it was just myself still, and I had another person working with me part-time, and I was the one going and getting all the inventory. And I tell you, I had the guns. I was in the best shape ever. I'm moving things. I am in the mix. And I'll never forget one day, had a meeting in the office, and this gentleman walks in and he puts a business card down, and he was like, if you ever want to get out of this office space, let me know. We want it. Well, about 4 days prior, I was having a conversation going, we need bigger space. But we were in the lease for 2 more years. It was like, there's no way we can get out of it.
Yeah.
And I had already had my eye on another space that had opened up because somebody said, hey, by the way, our building right next to us is available. It could be perfect. I was thinking, man, that's it. That's what we want. And I was like, no, it's not going to happen. How would you get out of the lease? Blah, blah. And then 2 days later, that guy walked in and put his business card down. And I was like, you know, it's like, you don't realize those things. And it was like, okay, I totally asked for that. And it happened. So yes, so I got sidetracked on all the things we were talking about. But yes, so moving in from our garage to our office space. And then we moved into a larger space.
Is that where you're at now?
No.
Oh, okay.
We're now 1, 2, this is our 4th space.
Wow.
Yes. And so when we moved
in how many years? So what year did you start the business?
Started 2010, 2011.
Okay.
And then, so now fast forward, and we've been in our current office space. I think we're going on year 3 right now. Every office space besides the first one we grew out of really quickly, has been about that 2 to 3 year mark where it's evolving. But I remember when we were working our events, and I go, I want to be able to do something else. And I had an idea in my mind of you know, kind of creating a unique look and feel. And so that's when we brought on, we have a 4 vintage vehicles now in our fleet, but we brought on our first one, and it's a 1966 Chevy panel tap truck.
Wow.
And I remember going, this could be amazing. You can serve anything out of it, whether it's beer, cocktails, mocktails, kombucha, but it has that wow factor when people see it and they're like, what is this? And it engages people to want to come. And so I remember when we first started calling, saying, hey, this is Kinsey with a couple of bartenders, would love to share. We don't need bartending. I'm like, no, I know you have a team. That's wonderful, but would love, what if you had this vehicle that you could use? But they heard the word couple of bartenders, and I don't need bartending. Yeah. And that's kind of when we started making this shift of going,
we need to change the name.
We need to change the name because we're more than just providing the bartending.
We've outgrown just bartending.
Yes. Yeah. So that's when we started partnering with venues, planners, hotels, where they actually will bring the truck in, utilizing their team, their beverages, and we're just providing a really cool activation for people to come to. Sometimes we'll just use it as a prop too, just because they're sexy.
Yeah, you could do photo shoot. You could do all kind of stuff. Yeah.
Totally. So that was kind of the next phase of bringing something different into our company, and every time it kind of just like I said, every time we level up, it's something different.
Do you feel like every time you level up, you need to create a growth within yourself?
Yes. And I think sometimes it's what I have realized is you're like, man, I'm bringing something new, and you expect it to blow up right away. Right? Yeah. And I realized just because I think it's super fabulous and cool, not everybody quite understands it. I know what it can do and its potential, but it takes time for people to catch on. It takes time for people to go, oh, I get it now.
You have to show them before they're, And that's the hard part. You're like, come on, guys, just believe with me.
And people need to experience it. So what we have ended up doing is people we work with a lot or we collaborate with a lot. Anytime we're launching or bringing something new to kind of our offerings, we bring them into our office space and say, I want you to experience it. Because how can you sell it to your clients or if you've not experienced it and know the power of what we're talking about, right? And when you're in our space, or at least when we were in our office and we're talking about, we're doing mixology classes, we're doing smoke activations, we print on drinks, we get excited about it, but the verbiage we use, someone's like, I have no idea what they're talking about, right? And I'm like, why aren't you understanding? Why aren't you seeing it? But when they come in and experience, they're like, oh, I get it.
One of the biggest advice I got was show, don't tell.
Yes.
So when you show them and they can experience it for themselves, it's so much easier to sell to them.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. What's next? Talk to me about brand collaborations. I know we talked a little bit about that.
Yes. It's so really interesting. We had during COVID, right? And I hate bringing that up, but it's true, especially in the event space. That was such an instrumental kind of moment for anybody, everybody, no matter what they were doing.
Canceled.
But within 2 weeks, we had over 200 events that called and canceled, right? And it was like this, oh my gosh, it brought me back to when I was like, we're going to lose everything, right? Like that feeling of, oh my, what are we going to do?
Did it take you back to the moment where you're in the happy hour with your husband writing on the napkin? So
totally.
Like, what do we do next?
And for me, it became a not a woe is me moment. I had to come into what are we going to do? Like it was immediate, up with a plan and attack. And we brought in doing virtual. And we started doing virtual before virtual became the thing, right? I was like, okay, fine. We can teach people how to make cocktails. They're at home. They have nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So we started doing that. And we reached out to our corporate planners because we knew that their events stopped also.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do? The big conferences that we were going to help you with, all of that. So we put a plan in place and created offerings that complemented what they were doing. And we partnered to create these virtual cocktail classes. And then we created these boxes where we sent our infusion kits and all the ingredients but the booze. And they were able to then make the drinks at home with us. And they had everything they needed. So that was something that was like it was an oh shit moment, right? But then from that, it was a saving grace that became this beautiful thing for us.
Yeah.
I remember one Friday in December, my very first Zoom, 6 a.m. My last Zoom was 7 p.m. 6 a.m. was in Japan. I was teaching people in Japan how to make cocktails because of the time change, all the way to then California, ending with a happy hour for them. And I think I did 8 or 9 within that whole time frame. So by the end of the day, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't shake any more cocktails or teach people how to make drinks anymore. But that was like a realization, like, man, like we have something here and we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this, something where I, would never have thought of. So we got on the other side of that, thank goodness.
Expansion always comes with a oh shit moment. It's like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so kind of taking those moments and going, what's next? Like, what is going to be the next thing for us?
Yeah.
And so when you said brand collaborations, shortly after COVID and everybody started drinking so much in that time frame, which for us was a blessing in that sense, but also people became unhealthy in that space. And for me, it was, I decided to stop drinking. I said, you have that dry January, and it was in an August, and I said, you know what, I don't want this at the moment. I'm gonna stop drinking and focus on health and well-being and all of that. And it brought into me my realm of, I've always loved health and fitness and working out, okay, there's other people that aren't drinking. And anything we've ever done too, even in our when we're doing cocktail classes, having a mocktail variation has always been important. I want events to be inclusive, right? Because not everybody drinks, and that's wonderful, but they want to be included, and they want to make sure for us, those
they don't want to be the outball with having a soda. That's me, because I don't drink because I'm allergic, but like I'm always like, can I have a Diet Coke, please?
Right, but sometimes you want to have something where you're like fun and not something that's like sugary. It's not just soda water with a sugary syrup, right? So that brought into me wanting to expand into more of that non-alcoholic space. We brought in coffee into our service offering. So we do lattes, and so we have several barista. We call it our specialty coffee, and that's grown and expanded. We started brand collaborations. We've worked with Lori Harder and her amazing Glossy, and just bringing into awareness that there's so many different capabilities and abilities out there. And too, for me, when it comes to beverages and liquid catering, it's that cheers moment, that moment of when you see people walking around with a beverage in their hand. I always say in the event space, you don't see people walking around with a plate and a fork all night, but they are walking around with a beverage, right? Whether it's a cocktail, a mocktail, or a healthy hydration drink, but it brings the community together, it brings the people together, and I think it also brought awareness to me for the 2 years that I didn't drink, for those how it can be sometimes socially awkward, right? I think it bringing into awareness that no, it shouldn't be. Right?
Yeah. Like, I don't like to go to events if I know it's going to be like a lot of drinking, because I don't drink, and I'm like, I just want to stay home. But if they were to offer something like that, like what you like mocktails and a coffee bar, I would be like, oh, sign me up. I'd love to go.
Yes. Yeah. And then you
still feel included,
and you're trying something different and new.
Totally.
And I think that is what I love, and why I love working with brands is bringing things to people that wouldn't have necessarily tried it, right? Or they may see it and then, we work with and service hundreds, thousands of people weekly. Like when I work with brands, I'm like, I'm able to show something and give you exposure to people that probably wouldn't and didn't know about it. So that's why I really love working with brands that connect with who we are, about just really creating that experience, that feeling, and wanting to try something different.
Yeah. Well, I tried the kin drink
Yes.
that you were serving at the Powerhouse Women,
Yes,
and that's the
King
first time.
Forks.
It was so good, and now I order it.
Isn't that awesome?
I have it ordered, shipped to my house, and I love it. Yeah.
So fun. So fun.
I love it. Take me on what's next for Liquid Caterers.
Oh man. So I really feel that we are just kind of scratching the surface, right? So for the first 6-7 years, it was hustle and grind.
Okay.
Right? It was, just coming, you just go. You just
Yeah.
go. You're just going.
Because you're just trying to make it work.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get off the ground. And so you're doing everything you possibly
Everything
can
you
to get
can.
it off the ground.
And, you're hitting these things. We were growing. We're hitting milestones. We were expanding. But you're sometimes so in the hustle that you stop to look back and go, oh my gosh, look how far we've come, right? And you stop, and you sometimes forget to celebrate that. So I think that's where I am now going in the mindset of being more intentional with the direction we're going, celebrating those milestones, and have really surrounded myself with a team of people that I don't have to do everything on my own anymore, right? Like I don't have to be, I can go and be the visionary, and I have the amazing team that's going to help execute it, right? Who, not how, right? And I think to me, that was a defining moment of, I listened to on Audible, if I would go walk every day, and it's like surrounding myself with the people who are going to do the things better than I could do it on my own.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at now. I've created this really amazing team that can execute so that I can do what my passion is, where my zone of genius is, and that is what's next. So what's next is becoming the best, the number one in Arizona, which I feel like we're there.
Yes.
But Arizona is growing so quickly. There's so many corporate people coming here, businesses, people moving here, that I want to make sure that everybody knows who we are. And so we brought on a branding person and a marketing person on our team. I now have a COO who's there that's really executing and taking what's this big brain idea and putting the pieces in place, creating our processes so that when the time is right, which will be in the near future, that we can take all that we have done over these years and be able to help others in this space. Because the reality is this business, 3 to 5 years is usually how long people last in the mobile beverage space.
And you're going on 15, 16?
14.
Yeah.
Wow. Because of burnout. It for many reasons. Burnout, it's exhausting. I mean, you're working days, nights, weekends, right?
Yeah.
Burnout, as well as they've reached a cap in revenue. They haven't figured out how do I get to the next?
Wow.
How do I get to the next, right? And we figured that out over and over and over again. And for a very long time, I don't know why, but I was in this space of, I'm not going to share, right? I don't want to share my ideas because I don't want anybody to take them, right? And now it's like, I just want to give them. Like, I want to help others because, when you're in the grind, you're just kind of like, I've got to get there first. I got to get there first. And I realize there's so much joy in teaching other people how to do it. And if I can save somebody from giving up when they're almost there, save them years and years of the trials and tribulations and minimize what that is for them to get to that next level. Because some people are like, I want to keep it small. Well, that's wonderful. And there's some people like, I want to grow an empire. Yeah. And I can help them do that too. Yeah. So that's kind of the next, because I know you had asked or thought about Kinsey, do you want to have multiple locations? Yeah. That's definitely an option. And or teach others in this space, like coaching and mentoring in a community where they can learn from each other. And we have a platform, are going to create a platform to be able to help them do that.
I love that.
Yeah.
If you could pick one other location that would be next, where would that be? Like if you could just dream and be like, next location would it be Vegas? Would it be? I feel like Vegas would be a good spot.
Vegas would be. I would think though, for me, I would want to go to a space. I think of Nashville and I think of Tennessee. And I know there's many in that market already, but I feel like there's still
Lots more that could happen.
Lots more. Then also I think of where else would I want to spend some time, right? Like, so thinking East Coast, where I can get out of Arizona in the summer and help build a team there. So I think that there isn't any place, I think there's so many untapped places that could definitely benefit from what we can bring to the table and the capabilities that we have. Yeah.
And to see the growth from you sitting there writing on the napkin to where it is now. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
It's exciting. It's been a crazy journey. And I think too, for entrepreneurs who are thinking about, should I do something or do something like this? And you had mentioned too of what would be a tidbit or like thing. And I would say surround yourself with other people.
Yes.
Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be within the same space.
Exactly.
But I
Get
think
in the arena.
one of the best things I ever did was Powerhouse Women and the Expanders, where I met you, right? When I talked about doing it alone, and I thought that that's how I had to do it for years.
Yeah.
And then I realized, man, even though we're not in the same space as far as what we do business-wise, you have skills and talents and things that you have done that I could bring into what I do, right? And I've really learned to tap into that, get involved in masterminds, ways to expand and grow your knowledge outside of what you're doing from a day-to-day business. And I think for me, that would be advice that I would give to somebody is stay connected, get a support system. That there's days that are just really, really hard. But they don't have to be hard by yourself. Yeah. So
I say this all the time. Get in the arena. Do not get out of the arena. Get in the arena. I don't care. You're going to be bloody some days. Some days you're winning. Some days you're losing. Just don't go out of those ropes and sit down.
It's true. It's true.
Just
got to keep the fight.
You got to be in there, and you be in there with a group of people, you know. So most definitely joining masterminds, getting into rooms where you know no one.
Yes.
You're going to leave there with some of your best friends because they're all going through the same things.
Yeah. And I think lose the judgment, right? I think sometimes you walk in and you're like, and you feel like I don't belong here, or you make up these things in your head. I don't look like this person.
Are they going to like me?
You know. Yeah. And once you just say, go in and open-minded, take a deep breath and be open. I think when the biggest growth I had is when I was open to receiving.
Yes.
Right? Be open to what comes into your space and into your life. And that's when I started to really enjoy things from a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy things it wasn't always about hitting the next mark or hitting this. It was, sometimes it's okay to just be and enjoy the peace and the quiet and the not having to hustle all the time. Yeah.
I think to myself also, like everything is 50-50. You can try this, you could sign up and or go for that goal or try this business, and you're giving yourself a 50-50 chance of making it work. But if you don't try, it's 100% fail.
100%.
So bet on yourself.
Yes.
50-50, like, you know, you got better chances than doing nothing.
Yeah. For sure. I agree.
I loved it. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, well, one more thing. If you could go and ask yourself, I want you to finish this question. What if I... So what's next for you? Like, I just want you to be able to dream. What if?
Okay. So what if I was speaking on a stage?
Yes.
And the crazy thing is that terrifies me to the core. Like pits are already getting sweaty right now, and I'm not even on the stage. And to me, even sharing
your
that
story,
sharing that, it's like, but I share that because I want to grow and expand where that's a place that I feel comfortable and then I could own it. And right now, if that was me, I would definitely not own it. But I'm throwing it in the universe that, Kinsey, you can. At some point, you can, and I will. So who knows when, but yeah.
Speak
so
it.
What if?
Yeah.
What
if Kinsey got up on stage with a microphone?
Yes. Crazy.
Yeah. It sounds scary, but I think just voicing it, because you remember at Expanders, I was like, what if I start a podcast? Like, you know,
I do.
And like, here we are.
Exactly.
But I think it's just about allowing yourself to ask yourself that question, what if?
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
If people want to get in touch with you or they want to hire you for any event, where do they go?
Yes. liquidcaterers.com is our website, and that's the best place. Fill out your event information, but follow us on Instagram to kind of see all the things that we're doing behind the scenes and events that are coming up.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you.
Yay, thank you.